This next Tellervo tutorial is going to show you how to export data from your Tellervo database into any one of 22 different data formats for use, if you need to do a further analysis for your data in other applications. So the import and export within Tellervo is handled using the Tricycle library. If you haven't come across it, Tricycle is a tool that you can download from the tridas.org website. It is capable of converting dendro data back and forth between any of the 22 supported data formats, and it's a great tool even if you're not, even if you're not using Tellervo itself. Tricycle works standalone, so it's a great tool if you just need to quickly convert data between two different data formats. But because Tricycle is an open source library, the functionality that does the analysis, does the conversion, is capable of being used within other programs. So Tellervo does this. Tellervo has the Tricycle libraries built into it. So this enables us to have immediate access to to read and write any of the supported formats. So the export dialog is accessible from a number of locations. So the first is from the main editor window. So here we have a data file that's a data series from the Cornell database, and all we need to do is go to the file, export data and metadata, and that brings up the export dialog. And there are just a couple of standard options you need to set. First of all is the actual format that you want to convert to. So you can see here the long list of formats that we have supported, thanks to Tricycle. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Heidelberg. And the next thing we need to do is to specify an output folder. So I shall do that now. So we specify an output folder rather than a file name. The file name is handled internally by the export mechanisms for reasons that I'll come back to in a moment. So this is all we need to do to the actual conversion. So we can just go ahead and press the convert button, and there we are. So we have a green tick next to the series showing that the conversion was done successfully. And if we want to, we can just go ahead and press the save button, and that will save the file to disk. So there are there's a collection of additional options here on the Advanced Options tab. But before I go into those, I'm going to show you the other way of getting to the export dialog, and that's from the main Tellervo screen here. So if you go on the Tellervo screen, if you go to the file, export data and metadata, that goes ahead and brings up the standard database browser. So this enables us to export multiple series at the same time. So if you've got a lot of series that you want to do all at once, you can do that. So let me just pick a handful from the top here. So we can select the series that we're after and do OK. And that goes ahead and brings the export dialog again, like we saw earlier. So again, we can go ahead and choose our output format and the output folder that we're interested in. So this time, if we go to the Advanced Options page, you'll see a number of additional features. So the first is the grouping. So depending on the output format you choose, so some of these formats are capable of storing multiple series within a single file, which is the case here with the Heidelberg format. So we can either choose to have all the series that we've selected output to separate files, one series per file, or we can go ahead and choose the single packed file if we prefer. So in this case, that will attempt to export all the series into a single file. We also have an option for the naming of the files. The standard one is just to go ahead and use the lab codes from the database, but there are other options here. The way these work is described in the manual, so I won't go over that here now. But for most of the time, you'll most likely want to use the lab codes. Another option we have is for the encoding. Again, this is a pretty advanced feature. The vast majority of the times you can just leave that as the standard UTF-8. So the encoding is how things, extended characters, accented characters are recorded in the output files. So certain sort of older software, for instance, may have problems with. So UTF-8 is a fairly modern standard, although it's pretty widespread widespread use now. Older programs may have troubles with this, especially if you have sort of accented characters. You may come up with problems, in which case you may need to change this. May need to change this setting. Another option, another reason why you may want to change this is if you know that it's going to be used on a Mac. So certain Mac utilities will, again, they will have problems if you use accented characters. So the typical encoding used on a Mac is Mac Roman, so you may need to go ahead and choose that there if you're having problems. And typically you'll sort of see accented characters replaced with sort of like a square box notation. So if you see that, you know you've got a problem with your encoding. So let me just go ahead and let's convert this group of 4 series into a single file, just to show you what it looks like. So there you go. So all 4 series have been now exported into a single file. We can go ahead and save that if we wanted to. Alternatively, we can go ahead and use the single files, and you'll see you've got again, you've got separate files here showing that you can go ahead and save. If I go back and change the format now, so Heidelberg is quite an advanced format. It has a good ability to store a lot of the metadata that's stored within Tellervo. So typically with Heidelberg you'll end up getting these green ticks showing everything went fine. But if you choose one of the more limited formats, so let's go ahead and try Tucson. So when we use the Tucson format, you see we've got these orange triangles warning us that we have some issues with the output, and these are described here underneath the writer warnings. So we stretch this out. So you'll see here that the dialog is warning us that we have the data set is a relative data set in our original database, and the Tucson format is not capable of showing relatively dated series. So at the moment, so it's showing that we've got ambiguous data coming out the other end with these formats. So you should see, hopefully you should, these warning messages will be self-explanatory and show you what's wrong with some of the limitations with these other formats. But it's important to be aware of this when we're exporting data. Okay, I think that's all I needed to show you. Thanks very much.